In this video, we are going to give you all some good news about people who have the 3 or 10 years bar. A recent lawsuit has led USCIS to make a decision to allow some people to adjust their status without needing to leave the United States and wait outside of the United States for the entire 3 year or 10 years that they've been barred. This only applies to certain people, and I'm going to explain to you very carefully in this video who it applies to and who it does not apply to. Visit us at Swat&Vee channel with your questions to see how best we can help you out with your process. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Let's talk about this lawsuit. In a recent status report, USCIS agreed to change its policy in regards to immigrants that overstayed their visa and got barred. I explained into details who this is for and how it will help you. First of all, if you had entered the United States with a visa lawfully and overstayed your visa, and when you later left the United States after some period of time, at the moment you left the United States, you were then either barred 3 or 10 years from returning to the country. While you were out of the United States, you then applied for another visa, and the embassy approved you and you came back to the United States, and now you want to adjust your status. There was a gray area in the law that was quite debatable, whether or not you would be eligible to adjust your status, or whether you would have to go back home and wait for the entire 3 years or 10 years to be up before you would be eligible to apply for green card. USCIS has now said that it will allow the bar of inadmissibility to run while you are here inside the United States. What that means is that when you came back into the United States, if you had maybe 2 years or 6 more years to go on your period of inadmissibility, they will allow the time that you are here in the United States to continue to add up. In otherwise, your bar will run to get to that 3 years or that 10 years point, after which you will then be able to adjust your status, and we will not need to file a waiver or ask for forgiveness for this inadmissibility problem. Now, the thing is this: if you had committed fraud or misrepresentation to get that new visa to come back to America, you will need the waiver. You will need the I-601 waiver to be approved during this adjustment of status process, because the fraud or misrepresentation in connection to that visa is still there. For instance, when you were outside of the US, you were not truthful to the questions like, have you ever been to the United States? Have you been admitted? What is your name? If you change your name, or if you lie about your previous entry and time in the United States. During the adjustment of status process, that type of fraud and misrepresentation usually comes to light for most people. Now you will need a waiver if you did in fact commit fraud to come back in. But for other people who came back in under maybe the F1 student visa and applied for or submitted the non-immigrant visa waiver, the NIV waiver, to a US embassy and they approved it, you would then be allowed to come back in under that temporary student visa or whatever the visa is. You will not need a waiver when you apply for adjustment of status. Now take note, this does not apply to those of you who have the PERMA bar, that's the permanent bar. And I think many of you have the PERMA bar, know exactly who you are. This new change that's coming up does not apply to that section of the law. So you would still need to remain for 10 physical years outside of the United States before you would be eligible to apply for a green card for those of you with the PERMA bar. This also does not help and doesn't apply to those of you who came to the US and overstayed, but you've just been here. You have been here like 7 years, 3 years, 5 years, and you have never left and returned. This does not apply to you. It only applies to those of you who actually left and at the point of leaving, the 3 or 10-year bar was triggered, and then you came back in lawfully with a visa, with inspection, and you are here right now and you're trying to adjust your status. I'm going to take you into the joint status report that was issued just recently. This is the Gomez versus USCIS case. This is the joint status report that was filed on May 25, 2022. And I'm going to take you to the relevant section here, where USCIS is basically agreeing to change its interpretation of the law. And it says this: USCIS intends to modify its interpretation of a certain section of our law to no longer require an applicant for adjustment to spend his or her period of inadmissibility outside of the United States, and is in the process of finalizing a revised policy, including final approval by the Department of Homeland Security, and is issuing new guidance to USCIS adjudicators. USCIS also affirms that it is not currently denying adjustment application or requiring applicants to file waiver applications on the basis that an applicant returned to the United States within the period of inadmissibility under this session. So I'm going to pause here and just explain a little bit about it. So USCIS is saying that it will not be denying the adjustment of status application solely because the person has this inadmissibility issue on their record and they back in the United States and they didn't stay outside of the United States for the entire period. So they are not going to deny people on the basis alone. Also, they are not going to be requiring people to file a waiver to ask for forgiveness for that inadmissibility problem. However, if you have fraud or misrepresentation on your record, you will need a waiver to address those issues. This is very exciting, great news for some people who are in this situation right now and could not adjust their status. What I have noticed is that the Biden administration obviously has a tremendous amount of failure with respect to immigration reform, comprehensive immigration reform, legislative reform on Capitol Hill. And so now they are trying to find other ways they could provide relief and help people through policy making and things that are within their jurisdiction. They are going to be a little bit more lenient so that they could have some smaller wings, because they did fail significantly with respect to comprehensive immigration reform as promised to us by President Biden last year when he came into office. That is the good news nevertheless for some people. Share this video with others. You may never know who needs to hear this, because most people who have an immigration problem don't go around telling people about their immigration problems. I hope you guys found this video extremely helpful. If you know anybody that could benefit from this information, definitely make sure to share this video with them. We are all about empowering you with knowledge. So the more people that can benefit from this video, the more people will want watching this video. If you like this video, please make sure to hit that thumbs icon. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit on the notification bell for more immigration updates. Bye!